Hello, Sunshines. Welcome back to Cool House Connection. I'm your host, Deb Deckhand, and I'm your happy, chillin' out realtor who is savoring the time that retirement affords. I'm using it to explore topics that I hope you too, will find interesting. Every couple of weeks, we drop a new episode, and as you share what you learn here with your friends and colleagues, my hope is that the explorations stretch our collective appreciation for all aspects of cool design. I'm really glad you're here, because today we're talking about something that at first glance sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. On the face of it, today's topic seems the polar opposite of cool. Knack, knack. Today we are deep diving on heat pumps. Now before you hit the skip button, stay with me, because this episode really isn't about heat pumps. It's an episode about the future, and it's an episode, more importantly, about comfort. It's an episode about how we live in our homes, how we think about energy, and why one of the biggest technological revolutions happening right now isn't in our phones, our computers, or our cars. It's happening in our basements. It's happening in utility rooms and mechanical closets across the planet. And most people don't even realize it. If you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I spend a lot of time thinking about homes. Not just real estate, not just the buying and selling. Homes. The places where we spend our lives. The places where we rear our children, host family dinners, recover from illnesses, celebrate holidays, and dream about what comes next. And when I evaluate a property, whether it's a centuries-old stone farmhouse in Spain, a mountain retreat, a lakeside cottage, or a suburban family home, I always come back to one simple question. How does the place feel? Not how does it photograph, not how do I market it, how does it feel? And increasingly, one of the biggest factors influencing that feeling is technology. Not the flashy technology, the invisible technology. When I actively showed houses to prospective buyers, I always started with the mechanical room. Because honestly, the shape of that room said everything you'd ever need to know about the house itself. If it was clean and well-maintained, it spoke volumes about how smart the house was and how savvy and forthright the owners were. Technology is abundant in a home's mechanical room, and often the star of that room is the ubiquitous heat pump. Technology, implemented well, quietly makes our lives better. And heat pumps may be the single best example of that trend. Let's start with a basic question. What is a heat pump? The name is actually terrible. It sounds complicated, it sounds industrial, and it sounds like something you'd find in a chemistry lab. But the concept is surprisingly simple. A heat pump doesn't create heat the way a furnace does. Instead, it moves heat. That's it. It takes heat from one place and transfers it somewhere else. In winter, it pulls heat from outside and brings it indoors. In summer, it reverses direction and removes heat from inside your home. The same system heats and cools. One machine, two jobs. Now here's the part that surprises people. Even when it's cold outside, there's still heat energy available. And a modern heat pump can extract that energy and use it efficiently. That's why heat pumps are becoming increasingly popular, even in climates that experience real winters. And the technology, it just keeps getting better every year. But let's step back from the mechanics for a moment. Because what interests me isn't the machine itself, it's what the machine represents. For decades, our homes have been designed around combustion. Oil, propane, natural gas, wood. Burn something, create heat. That's how we've always done it. Heat pumps flip that model upside down. Instead of creating heat through combustion, they're moving energy intelligently. And that shift tells us a lot about where housing itself is headed. The future isn't necessarily about using more energy. It's about using energy more intelligently, and that's a huge distinction. Now let's talk comfort, because comfort is one of those things that people underestimate until they experience it. Most traditional heating systems operate in extremes. They're either on or they're off. They're hot or they're cold. They're blast or silent. You know the feeling. The furnace kicks on, the room gets warm. The furnace shuts off, the room gradually cools. Then the cycle repeats. Heat pumps tend to create a different kind of experience. They often operate continuously at lower levels. Instead of dramatic temperature swings, you get stability. And stability feels good. It's subtle, but it matters. Think about your favorite hotel or your favorite library or a beautifully designed home you visited recently. Often what you're noticing isn't the architecture alone, it's the environment. The temperature feels right, the air feels right. Nothing is distracting you. You simply feel comfortable. Now that's good design. And increasingly, technology is helping create that experience. One thing I've noticed as I've looked at homes throughout Spain is how dramatically people's expectations are changing. Note to self here, hopefully the US is not too far behind Europe in their awareness and implementation of smarter technology in practice. 20 years ago, many buyers focused almost entirely on square footage and location. Today, they ask different questions. How efficient is it? What's the internet like? How much does it cost to operate? Can I work remotely? How comfortable is it year-round? Technology has become part of the definition of home quality, and that's not going away. If anything, it's accelerating. Now let's talk money, because eventually every conversation about home technology reaches the same point. Is it worth it? The answer depends. Now I know that's not the most exciting answer, but it's the honest one. If you're living in a poorly insulated house, adding a heat pump without addressing insulation may not deliver the results you're hoping for. It helps to think of it this way. Buying an expensive heating system while ignoring insulation is like buying a luxury sports car and driving with the parking brake on. The system matters, but the house matters too. Windows matter, air sealing matters, insulation matters. The best homes are systems where everything works together. And that's one of the biggest lessons I think we'll carry into the future. We're moving away from thinking about houses as collections of individual components. Instead, we're beginning to think of them as integrated ecosystems. Heating, cooling, solar, battery storage, water management, ventilation, internet connectivity, security. They're all interconnected. They're all working together. Now that may sound futuristic, but it's already happening. Let's imagine a house 10 years from now. Actually, let's make it 15 years. You wake up. The home has already adjusted the temperature based on the weather forecast. The shades have responded to the sunlight conditions. Electricity is being drawn from a combination of solar production, battery storage, and the grid based on real-time pricing. The ventilation system is monitoring your indoor air quality, and the heating and cooling system is optimizing itself continuously. Most of this happens without you doing anything. Not because technology is taking over your life, but because technology is quietly removing the friction. That's the future I see. Not more gadgets, fewer headaches. Now here's where things get interesting. For years, people associated technology with complexity. Every new device came with a manual. Every new feature required learning. Every new upgrade created another thing to manage. But the best technology simply disappears. Think about electricity. Nobody walks around marveling at electrical outlets. They simply expect them to work. That's the ultimate success story. Technology becomes invisible, and I think heat pumps are headed in that direction. Today, they're still a topic of discussion. People debate them, research them, compare them. In 20 years, I suspect they'll simply be normal. Just another expected component of a comfortable home. And that's how often innovation works. The truly transformative technologies stop feeling innovative. They become ordinary. Now let's shift gears slightly. One of the reasons I'm fascinated by northern Spain, shall we say, particularly Galicia, is that the climate naturally encourages this conversation. Being on the cusp of the vast Atlantic has a way of accelerating that awareness. It's not brutally hot, not brutally cold. It's moderate, and moderate climates often allow technology to perform at its best. A well-designed home in a climate like Galicia can achieve extraordinary comfort with surprisingly modest energy use. That's important because we're entering an era where operating costs matter more than ever. People don't just buy houses anymore, they buy monthly expenses. Insurance, taxes, maintenance, utilities, connectivity, everything adds up. A home that costs less to operate gives you options. Options for more travel, more flexibility, more financial freedom. That's a powerful advantage. And it's one reason I believe energy efficiency will increasingly influence property values. Won't happen overnight, maybe not dramatically, but steadily. Imagine two nearly identical homes, same location, same size, same charm. One costs twice as much to heat and cool. Which one do you think future buyers will prefer? The answer seems pretty obvious. Now, before we go, I want to address something else, because whenever we talk about technology, there's a temptation to assume that newer is automatically better. I don't believe that. Some of the most beautiful homes I've ever seen are hundreds of years old. Stone walls, handcrafted beams, traditional materials, and timeless architecture. I don't think the future is about replacing those qualities. I think it's about enhancing them. One of my favorite ideas is combining old world character with modern performance. You give me a historic farmhouse with thick stone walls and timber beams, give me some personality, but also give me great insulation. Give me reliable internet, efficient heating, modern plumbing, good lighting. That's the sweet spot. Character plus comfort. History plus technology. And I suspect that's exactly what many people are searching for today. Not futuristic houses that feel sterile, or not historic houses that feel uncomfortable, but a thoughtful blend of both. Now let's zoom out one final time, because this episode isn't really about equipment, it's about quality of life. When we improve our homes, we're improving the environments where life happens. The goal isn't to own impressive technology. The goal is to create spaces where people thrive. Spaces where children grow up comfortably and where retirees age gracefully. Spaces where remote workers can focus and spaces where families can gather. Technology is simply a tool. It's a means to an end. And when used thoughtfully, it can help us create homes that are healthier, more comfortable, more resilient, and more affordable to operate. That's the future I'm excited about. Not because it's flashy or trendy, but because it's practical. And practical improvements can often create the biggest impact. So if you're evaluating a property or renovating a house or dreaming about your next move, don't just look at the kitchen. Don't just look at the view. Don't just look at the square footage. Ask yourself how the house works, how efficiently it operates, and how comfortably it supports everyday life. Because increasingly, that's where the real value lies. The best homes of the future may not be the biggest. They may not be the most expensive. And they may not even be the most technologically advanced. They'll simply be the ones that make daily life feel effortless. And honestly, that's a future worth building. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Share it with someone who loves homes, architecture, design, or smart living as much as you do. And leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts like this one that you touch a chord. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep exploring, and keep building a life connected to the places that matter most. And as always, stay cool and comfortable. This is Cool House Connection, and I'll see you next time.